Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. This week I've been talking kind of around a gardening motif. And today what I'm doing is I'm thinking about the garden, but in a different way. And I'm standing in one of the little garden spaces out by our library. And it's a space that I really enjoy. It's got a real nice ambiance, and it's got a nice feel. Oh, look over here. There's some water. Can you hear the water? Hold on, come on. We'll listen together. Hear the water? See, so we got nice water. We've got areas of sun. Got the sun in me now. Got areas of shade, areas of seating, and you know, nice ivies and windows and buildings, and it's a really marvelous place for me. It's a place of calm and a place of contemplation. But it reminds me, in a very different way, of the Garden of Eden. Now, think back about the Garden of Eden for a moment. The story that's set forth in the first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis, is a story of a garden where God provided some incredible plants, and he provided an opportunity for humanity, Adam and Eve, an opportunity for them to work and to keep the garden. And that's the charge. That's the instruction he gave them. He said, you're in there to work it and to keep it. Now, that's a fascinating concept. The idea of working, evad is the Hebrew concept there. It can be used for in a vineyard for tending to grapes. It can be used for working in a field that you're plowing or something like that. It can be used, the word is used of a worker if you put it into a noun form in that sense. And that charge was a charge for Adam and Eve, in essence, to be gardeners. And I like that. I like the idea that God made us with purpose, and that work and productivity is a legitimate, not just expression, but fulfillment of what we're to be about. Now, that doesn't mean everybody works for money. That doesn't mean everybody works in a commercial marketplace. That could mean taking out the trash. That could mean any number of different things. But the productivity of work is something that dates from the very earliest of humanity, and it's something that the Bible specifically ties back to a purpose of humanity that was given to us by God. Now, there's a second part of that verse, though. God told Adam and Eve not just to work the garden, but he also told them to keep it. And this verb that's translated keep is the Hebrew verb shamar. And shamar is an interesting verb. It's got the idea of guarding something. It's got the idea of protecting something. It's got the idea of keeping something from harm. But the word's got another layer of depth to it. It's got a layer of depth where it talks about the need to be observant of what's going on and use discernment to determine if something's good or bad. It's used by the prophets, especially Isaiah, to talk about a watchman who watches over the city. That's the same word is used and translated watchman. You know, these are the guards who stood above the city gates and decided if the person coming up was a threat, where the gates stay closed, or the person coming up was friendly, where the gates go open. So humanity was told not simply to work and be productive, but to be inquisitive, to be curious, to investigate, to see what things are good or bad. Now, where does this leave me today with my thought for the day? I'm not in the Garden of Eden, though I'm in a pretty good garden. I'm clearly not dressed for doing gardening work, but I am dressed to work for the work that God has for me today. And I want us to all consider the fact that as we face our day, we need to look at the things we're doing as things that God's put there for us to do. We need to approach them not just to get them done, but to do it with an inquisitive mind, to try to figure out what's good and right and make good discernments. And when we do that, we're actually fulfilling a main purpose that God has created us for. And there's a certain measure of fulfillment there. Now, if you'll come back tomorrow, I'm going to finish this by talking about another way that we were made to be fulfilled in yet another gardening term. But this, right now, right here, is your video thought for the day.